Hey you guys, so in this video obviously you'll see some of my training like always, but I had asked in my Instagram story what do you want me to talk about in my next YouTube video, and I had a request to talk about like the difference between like high reps and low weight, or high weight and low reps. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about that and like the difference between training for strength and training for growth. So yeah, let's get into it.
Every single time you niggas see me step inside the door, killing everything with 1,000 gorillas behind me. So I suggest you bounce and let your
Okay, so let's say that you are training for strength. And so it really all depends on like your training level or training age. So like for beginners or novices, you can pretty much progress doing whatever. If you're just getting into the gym and training, you will most likely see improvements, sometimes even day by day, but for sure week by week. But for intermediate or advanced lifters, you definitely need to be more specific and more strategic with your training. So low reps with a higher or heavier weight is definitely the most optimal when it comes to trying to build strength. And strength is generally measured by your 1 rep max. I am not one to really do like a one, like for sure 1 rep max in the gym. And that's mainly just because Tony doesn't like doing that. He thinks that you really should only do a 1 rep max on the platform at a powerlifting competition. And another way that you could test your strength is doing like an AMRAP. But there are calculators online on how to calculate or estimate what your 1 rep max might be. But also when it comes to training for strength, the more you practice lifting heavy weights, so the more you are working with the rep or within the rep range of like 1 to 5, the better you will get at it. And that's called neuromuscular adaptation. So that is generally for powerlifters. So it just really depends on if your goal is to really build as much strength and getting as strong as you possibly can. So for strength, you want to generally stick around the 1 to 5 rep range for the majority of your training. Not all of it though.
like a bungee. All of my grief, it has made me unleash on a bum. All opponents will cease. So I am yelling to the north and the south and the west and the east. I'm a motherfucking beast. When you don't have nothing, only other way that you go is to match up in the craft, up in the lab, working up to the bad, looking the flash, up in the cash, up in the bag.
So let's say you really want to put on some size. So this is generally someone who is really into bodybuilding. A lot of people forget how important nutrition is. You will not grow if you aren't eating in a calorie surplus. And obviously, the better you eat, the better you will look. And by that, I mean the less fat you'll have. And when you are really shooting to grow or put on some lean muscle mass, you definitely want to go through a hypertrophy training phase. And so that rep range is generally between 6 to 12 for the majority of your sets. Again, like I mentioned, for the strength rep range, you don't want all of your working sets to be within that rep range. I do believe that you want like a happy medium or balance between the two, because they can benefit each other. The more muscle you have, the stronger you will be, and vice versa. So if you are shooting for strength, you want like 3/4 of your training to be within the rep range of 1 to 5, and then the rest between like 6 to 12. And then the other way around. So if you are really shooting to grow, you want like 3/4 of your training within the 6 to 12 rep range, and then a little bit of your training within the 1 to 5 rep range, so you can continue to get stronger as well.
Watch me wet and heat shit up like I'm a washer and a dryer while I beat you in your head until you tired. I'm a motherfucking man. See the way we got my niggas is open. I'm doing it again.
When it all comes down to it, you really need to figure out what your goal is, and no matter what your goal is, whether it be strength, size, or even fat loss, you have to put in the work and the effort. Don't be afraid to really push yourself. Obviously, you still want to be safe and make sure you have a spotter if needed, but I mean, effort is huge. You can't just go in and like go through the motions or lift sub-maximal weight. No matter what your goal is, you want to push yourself as hard as you possibly can if you want the best results. For my training, because I'm a dual athlete, I do a mixture of both the strength rep range from 1 to 5, and I generally will start my workouts with that, and it'll be my compound movements, and then I will finish my workouts with hypertrophy or accessory work based off of my weaknesses within the rep range of 6 to 12. And even sometimes I do a couple of exercises with like 15 and plus, but that's mainly just for some blood flow, which helps with recovery. Plus, it's so fun to get a pump. So yeah, I hope you guys liked the video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions.